What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 202 of the Bench Time Podcast with Todd and Brett Wiley. Sorry for the delay, folks. We had a we had an interesting week last week. I'll just leave it at that. Nothing bad happened, but it was chaos within my family's schedule. My wife was tied up with something, and I could not. I didn't have a life outside of shuttling kids around for 5 straight days. So I told my dad, I was like, it's not going to work this last week, just because of our circumstance. But like I said, nothing bad. It just was something we had to take care of, and I was ending up on daddy taxi for a week.
Some days are like that, man. Some weeks are like that.
Yeah, so I was the family Uber for a week, and it was driving kids around till like 8 o'clock every night. But yeah, you know what? Life goes on. We're going to record tonight, and this will be our Christmas special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Christmas already.
I should have played some.
Yay.
Maybe I'll play some jingly tunes in the intro.
Okay.
I'll find some free Christmas song I can put in the beginning. So, yeah, I mean, what's been new? There's a lot new.
Well, Christmas week. Well, coming up with Christmas week. So at work, we got potluck. And
that's always interesting.
Tons of stuff. There's so much food that we got enough for the whole week. They keep, putting food out. People keep bringing food in day after day, laying it on the table in the office. And I'm telling you, I come home. I'm going to weigh 1,000 pounds this goddamn weekend. I know it. It's crazy. I just keep stuffing my face. Every time I get like a small break, I run out there and grab a plate full of food and stuff my face like everybody else is. But yeah, so tonight I'm kind of bloated.
Yeah, I get it. The potlucks are always fun too, because it's like there's always like a dish that you're like, I don't know if I should eat that.
There's a couple that there's a couple I can't explain, and I've avoided.
But that's not like that.
But I'll tell you what,
That's
90% of it, the people I'm working with,
Yeah.
they bring in 95% of everything is absolutely insane.
Let me tell you, there's a kid that works for me that he likes to make smoked meats and stuff.
Yeah.
And every now and then he'll bring in something that he smoked, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you can't get enough of it.
Oh, no.
But
Well, this is big deer hunting country up here.
it is.
And so a lot of the people I work with are hunters, too. So there was like stuff made with deer meat.
You had an interesting week.
Awesome.
You had an interesting week at work too, because there was a shooting outside your office.
Yeah.
And it was wild. No, we won't go into.
It was pretty wild, man. They had to shut down. Nobody could get out of our office. They had the building. Building wasn't shut down. You couldn't get out on the road because, like, a block down from the police shot some guy in a tractor trailer truck.
Well, his
truck looked like Bonnie and Clyde's car when they were done. It was just bad news.
I was just very. At first, I saw it come up on my news alerts on my phone, and I'm like, "Oh shit! I know that intersection. I think that's near where you work." So then I Googled it real quick, and I texted you, but you didn't. You were busy. I get it, but you didn't reply back to me right away, which is fine. Midday text, I kind of expect that. But then, given the circumstances, I'm like, oh, I don't want to call him at work, but I better call him just to make sure everything's all right, because they said there's a couple injured. They didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
they're asking, "Hey, are we going to go out for lunch?" I'm like, "Shit, no."
Yeah, I ain't going out there. Anyways, so
flying around, it was crazy.
Oh, you should have got some combat pay. Anyways,
yeah.
No, it wasn't that.
There's always that one or two people that are just nuts enough to go out and peek around the corner of the building and look,
Yeah, no.
I'm like, get your ass inside. But anyhow.
There's nothing good out there for you.
No, man.
Oh, anyways. Well, yeah, so...
Watch it all on the news. You can watch it all on the news.
Yeah, you just get online, you can watch it. Anyways, so we've been busy repairing buildings. So you repaired probably a dozen buildings the other day.
Yeah, down there we worked all the way out. Some of them, they weren't bad repairs.
No, signs.
and we took down the old layout and we saved all the buildings and we boxed them up so we could build the house and then get everything moved back in to do the new layout, right?
Yeah,
so
but inevitably,
layout going.
Anyone that's moved anything that they've built understands it's always like the chimney breaks off, or a window pops out, or a sign breaks.
Yeah, we had like a billboard that broke off, and
the loading dock snapped.
Loading docks, or the awning that goes out over top of a loading dock.
Yeah,
that
so
kind of thing.
It's minimal stuff, and there was a couple of wall repairs for like some of the HydroCal kits. I think when they got stored in that dry storage facility, the HydroCal kits, the walls separated a little, but
I fixed that.
But like you said, it was nothing traumatic. Like nothing got damaged beyond repair, and it was mostly just like
kind of fun.
It was just detail stuff. The only thing that you did do for yourself was you made yourself some extra work, because after you were done repairing all those buildings, I don't know what the hell you were even doing. You like close-fisted slammed your hand down on that billboard on top of that ITLA. Was it? No, not the ITLA building.
I didn't mean to. I was moving my hand across and I hit it.
I know. But it was like the most.
And I moved my hand backwards and it smacked and that's luckily only 2 little pieces of lumber fell off. It was the
sturdiest sign on our entire city.
Oh yeah. And I hit it with my open fist.
And you smashed the shit out of it.
Mostly intact.
I know.
And that's that one that had all that extra back support on top of it.
I know.
That I built, like the old style.
Well, it's not the end of the world, but it was just funny. You got done, you're like proud of yourself for fixing all these buildings, and then 30 seconds after, you're like, all right, I think I'm done. And then you're like, smash! Oh, shit.
I was done because we were going to go eat. But we still got a bunch more to do.
Yeah, we went and stuffed ourselves on El Mariachi.
Right, and that was awesome. Thank you for my birthday.
Yeah, and then we played the longest game of Uno I've ever played in my life, and then I had to buy it.
No.
Now I'm obsessed with Uno, though. So hang on. Before we explain that game, we played that one, and then I went and I got on Amazon and I ordered it right away that night. And then
it's a cool game, but it's cutthroat as hell.
But then also
not regular Uno.
But
it's Uno No Mercy.
Uno No Mercy. We'll talk about that. But we also, when I was on there, I saw like on Amazon's really good at selling you other things you don't need, as we all know. I found two other games on Uno that was Uno All Wilds. So the whole deck is wild cards.
Sorry, my microphone just on my microphone stand here. The arm that holds the mic. Everything kind of. It just kind of fell down.
I heard it. It sounded like you had a meltdown there.
I'm like, what the hell? Anyhow, go ahead.
Anyways, so I also got an Uno game called Uno All Wild that we have not played yet. Every card in the deck is wild.
Oh, wow. That's going to be something.
And then there's another Uno that's called Uno Truth or Dare? Or Uno Dare? I don't know. It's one of those. But now we have we have 4 different versions of Uno in our house because my kids are now obsessed with Uno. But that Uno No Mercy it's a game. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. And you got to be on your toes because there's so many additional cards compared to the regular.
Well, and you got to remember things like that one where you can discard all the colors of that type. You got to remember, like, oh, that person just got rid of all their yellows, so I'm gonna switch it back to them and make it yellow again, or I'm gonna call a color
symbol. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say you just know that, like, man, they're holding on to like 18 reds, and they gotta have a ton of red. So then you just change it to red, and they're screwed.
Well, the other thing is the zeros. It looks like an ordinary zero card, but the new rule is you throw the 0 down. Everybody exchanges hands clockwise or the motion going.
My favorite one
everybody's got to exchange hands. And you always end up with somebody else's hand.
My favorite one is the 7.
Yeah.
Because I can pick anyone's hand and I can take it.
Right. Yeah.
So I see, like, my daughter's got 3 cards left, and I got like 22. I'm on the verge of going. If you get 25 cards in your hand, you're done. You're out. So my daughter's got like 22 in her. Oh, I got like 22 in my hand, and I'm like, I'm gonna get out soon. So then I look over, and my daughter's got like 3 cards.
Yeah.
And then, but this is where it gets you, because you're like, all right, I'm gonna play this 7 and take my the other person that's playing. I'm gonna take them because they got 3. And then in a blink of an eye, you traded cards with someone that had 3, and then before you know it, you have 20 cards again, and you're thinking that
it's brutal. I'm not kidding. It's a brutal game. I mean, that's a game. It's so cutthroat that if you got some poor sports in your family,
they could take it bad.
It could get really nasty. It's different. I mean, any card game can get like that. Okay,
Yeah.
Uno on its own, on the original Uno for decades that have been around, whatever. It can get like that. Okay, not like this.
No.
This has the potential for fisticuffs. And luckily, I played it with my granddaughters. But it was my birthday that weekend, on the weekend, and my highlight of that entire night, even though we had a great dinner, that thank you for that, and then a great time with the kids and you playing, and the whole family playing the card game and working on the layout for a couple hours, and as nice as that was, my highlight was when right before we were ready to go, the girls sang "Happy Birthday" to me.
Yeah.
And that was the highlight of my entire weekend, and I told that to the people at work, and that meant a lot to me. So
yeah, well,
yep.
It was
it's a little thing.
Yeah, well, and I think I'm a little older now, and I don't really care about my birthday, but we always joke. You and I are probably similar, where we're always like, I don't want to do anything for my birthday. Like,
I like to stay at home and work.
My perfect birthday is nothing. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm also able to like respect that. Like, oh, if my daughter's made me a card, like I like that, or they sing me happy birthday. Like, that's all. I don't care. I don't need more junk. I've been working on the Merchants Row 2. I'm sorry, not 2. You did 2.
I did 2.
I'm working on Merchants Row 1. And yeah,
really good.
Yeah,
and plastic for a long time.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, you can't look at it on the shelf and go, yeah, that fits my layout, or that fits my the type of work we like to do, because when you look at it like that, even that little DPM row home I did, like, you can't look at it and say, yeah, I'm going to do it like that, and it's going to fit in well with my layout. And I think that was where my taste of plastic kits was traditionally not, it wasn't there, because I was
no easy feat to build necessarily to build all plastic kits.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, they take a lot of work in putting them together.
They
and
do, but
the sprues and sanding them and getting them to fit perfectly too.
Okay, so the difference though is, and I heard this on a podcast, completely different podcast, actually today, and I was thinking about this, is a quote from someone on a podcast that said, you can do, most people can do something and be average at it.
Yeah.
And that goes with modeling as well. And I think that goes with modeling any of these things. But what you did with that Merchant's Row is there's a lot of people that can be average with something, but you choose to go down that rabbit hole. And I'm not saying a lot of people I don't mean that in a disparaging way to anyone listening. I just meant, and I think a lot of our people listening would understand this too, is what we choose to do a lot, and when I say we, I mean our listeners too, is you choose to not even be 80% of what the people are out there that are other modelers. You choose to go deep on a lot of what you're building. So you take a plastic kit from Walthers, or you take a plastic kit from DPM, or you name the other plastic kits, and you look at it, and before you even build it, you're thinking about what you're going to do to make it 90% or 100% better than everyone else that's done that model. So that's the difference, and that's where you can take plastic kits in our world, in the fine scale modeling world. You can take a plastic kit, and instead of making it look like all the other people that have done the Walthers Merchant Row 2, like you decided, you're like, I'm going to step it up a notch, and I'm going to go all in. I'm going to go 100% on this thing, and it's not going to look like all the other Merchants Row 2 kits that are out there.
But here's the thing, and you're right, but it does. I mean, when you look at it,
it does.
It looks like the Merchant Row. It's just jazzed up.
Right.
Right? So I made sure that I painted every detail. I didn't want any plastic. I didn't want somebody to go and look at it and go, that's plastic.
Right.
You know, that corner looks plastic. Okay? Those seams at the buildings where they join look plastic. I can see the gaps. The brick doesn't match or mesh, right? And I get that. I mean, I see.
No, but
it has a shine or a sheen to it that looks
plastic.
Just looks like it's made of plastic. Okay, and that's fine. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you have on your layout, and you just like to build the kit, some of them come in amazing colors. I'm looking at one right now. We're going to talk about in a little bit. And if you sat on the table or on your layout or whatever, and you put it on there, some of them just as they are with the colors that they come with, look good for the purpose of what you want for your layout.
Yeah.
If your layout is not, if it's not as important to you to see that your buildings look like ultra realistic, and not everybody wants that. A lot of people just like to have a nice layout with buildings and such, and they can have that. Okay, and a lot of them are just, hey, it's more important to run the trains or the operations end of it, right? That's switching and all that stuff, right? To a lot of people, that's a big part of their thing. It's good for them. They can put together. It's not easy. It's not always easy to build the kits that are just plastic and build them as they are. They still have to be assembled, and there's lots and lots and lots of little pieces. But I just chose to make it. Look like, when I'm looking at it, it looks like I want it to look, when you zoom in and go, hey, that looks like, when you zoom in on stuff, it looks like it's almost real. Okay. I could walk that sidewalk. I could walk up to those windows and look in and actually, if I shrunk myself down, would I kind of look at it that way. To me, I had a ball doing it, right? It didn't really take all that long.
No.
what I put it up there. I got a lot of compliments on it, and I appreciate all of them. That was really nice. To me, it was just another building kit, and like if I built one of the Craftsman kit wood structures, right, which I love to do, by the way, and it's still my favorite.
The extra mile on a kit where it no longer. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and blow smoke up your ass, but I'll say it like I feel like when you just Google Merchants Row 2, your picture's up there now because I put it on the website. But in Google Images, you see a lot of variation from different styles of builds too. But there's also varying degrees of how far people went into those kits. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. You're right.
And like you said, some look like plastic, and they look like plastic, and that's okay for what they're doing. In fact, what confuses me is I'm not gonna point out the exact one, but there's like this something that bothers me. Maybe this will be my gripe for the night. Is I'm looking at a picture. Someone did a Merchants Row kit, and it clearly looks like they kind of painted most of it. You know what I mean? Like there's some stuff that doesn't look painted. There's some stuff that does look painted.
Right.
And they went 30% on it. But the street that it's on, the street for their layout that it's on, looks amazing. The road looks incredible.
Well, I guess everybody's got their niche. And that guy's niche, or
is roads,
or whoever did it, roads and maybe scenery or, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he puts some buildings down. The scenery helps make it, maybe the scenery enhances it,
Hopefully it's been updated since.
Right.
Maybe I'm looking at a partial photo. I didn't dig too deep into it. It might have been a progress picture.
It might be.
But yeah, so the difference isn't really wild. It's just, it's also a time thing. So maybe some people just don't want to spend the month or 2 months you did putting just detail work into it, whether it's painting.
Actually, it only took about 2 weeks.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
Oh.
They might put 2 weeks into it and go, well, that's good enough. And then you put 4 weeks into it, and that's enough for you. But it's also everyone's gauge on what's enough.
I painted bicycles and put them in front of the shop and made a bike shop out of it. And I wanted sidewalk details, and I made a rooftop, a stairwell rooftop thing, access to the roof, and I made that out of wood, put that up there, and I did this. I did my own signage. What's that?
I'm finding other kit. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm Googled Merchants Row, but I found other Merchants Rows from different brands. No, from different brands.
Oh, different brands. Huh. Well,
there's an old Magnuson Merchants Row.
I'll say this about the plastic models that are out there. There is a plethora, tons of different, really nice looking buildings out there to choose from. Your options are real wide, that you can, add to your city or your town. Even here's another thing.
Did Merchants Row used to belong to Magnuson Models?
Yes. So Magnuson was bought out by.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I'm like, what are these
Actually, Magnuson, I think, was bought out by somebody else. Some went. Correct me if I'm wrong. Some went to Walters. Some of them might have went to Woodland Scenics. There's been a bunch of different things that have been taken over by Walters and Woodland Scenics. I know that.
Yeah.
And that's great. Back in the day, with the Magnuson models, they were all like a resin.
Yeah, those walls
were thick resin,
and they were heavy.
White. They had to get a lot of flash on them, but they also had a good deal of detail.
And they smelled funny.
But anyhow, the kits today, like I said, there are a million different kinds of plastic kits out there that we needed brick buildings. We needed stone buildings. Now, I'm not saying like stone, like random stone, like somebody built a farmhouse or some shit like that, right? I'm talking about in a city.
Right.
You know, you get the stone buildings, block buildings that are made of stone or granite or whatever, and they're solid blocks that are built for a building.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Concrete buildings. That kind of thing. Not all buildings are, just that. They're concrete as well. So there's some office buildings that are made of concrete and things like that. Yeah, there's a lot of that you're not going to be able to get in a Craftsman kit. Okay, without not in the same respect.
There are some laser cut stone and block buildings.
ICLA is, for example, makes some awesome looking kits like that, and so do others. And they are laser cutting brick, and they're doing a very good job of it. I can name you 4 or 5 off the top of my head, which I'm not going to do right now, but that do laser cut brick and do a great job with it.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a ton more in the plastic, and if it's done right, if you want to make it look
and they're more affordable,
like Craftsman kit, yes. If you want to make it look like a Craftsman kit, and you want to put that kind of detail into it, well, it's not impossible to make that look do that.
Yeah,
and you don't have to be a super expert at it. Okay, sure, the more talent you have, the better it's going to look, right?
Right.
But you're only going to get that talent, as we said many, many times on this show, is by doing it.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. Building your collective experience and of model building by trial and error.
Right, and you're only going to get better at.
There's ways to do that.
Well, I was going to say you're going to get better. You're going to get better at building plastic kits by building wood kits and building wood kits by doing things with plastic. I've learned there's some things you can fudge with wood kits that you probably learn from doing a DPM or a Walters kit. And not that you're none that are specific to just wood kits, but just
everything lends itself to the.
But just doing doing any kit, regardless of the material, you're gonna do something. Even if it's like my dad, everyone ranted and raved about how his looked. Obviously the comments on Facebook were going crazy. It blew up our phones. But even though you did that, when you walk away from it, the next time you do another building, you're gonna say, well, I did this on that one, and I'm going to try it this way this time. Or I'm going to do it like you collect. It's like when you read a bunch of books. You collect knowledge that you're going to use later, and then you keep building upon that. It's just like doing kits. The more you do, the more collective knowledge you have and experience you have just building more kits.
Yeah, exactly. And, like I said, I personally feel that the price of them are awesome if you're willing to put the work into it and make it what you want out of it. Great, But the price is there for it to make something really nice at a good price. And I'm gonna, as a prime example of that right now as we speak, I'll get into my next part of the subject, is what I have sitting directly in front of me right now, consuming 75% of my workbench.
Yeah.
And that this train station. It's a plastic German train station called the Bahn Station from Germany. It's made by Cabri. I don't even know if they're even making this thing anymore. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. Some lady on Facebook Marketplace that lives close by my town was selling this on there. If it was her husband, ex-husband's, or whose it was, and it looks like the kids might have. It's a huge station. It's 40-inch, 39.5-inch long station.
Cabri still makes stuff.
I know that. I just don't know if they're still making this particular one, or if it's.
You got the Bahn Station.
I know you can get it out there in HO. And it's a replica, basically, of the actual Bond station in Germany.
Looks like you can still buy it.
Okay, I know you can still buy it. But can you buy it for $20?
No.
Right? So, all right, you can't. So I got online. I bought the stun gun for $20. It was already assembled, but it was already assembled. Let me rephrase that. It was already assembled in 4 broken-ass pieces. Okay?
Yeah.
The roof was intact. I mean, the roof wasn't snapped or broken. Nothing was broken to the point where you couldn't reassemble it, and the one like cracks down the middle of the wall
that makes me
and
angry.
crap like that. Huh? The sections were broken apart.
This makes me
and the
angry.
roofs
This is a side note, real quick. I'm googling the Cabri Bond station,
Yeah.
and does that infuriate you when you're on a website and there's a thing that says "click to view larger image,"
Yeah.
and you click it, and it's the same size image as the thumbnail. It's a thumbnail. It's a thumbnail in a box that takes over the screen, and you're like, it's not a bigger image. It's the same damn image.
I see that on all kinds of websites.
I hate that. Anyways, go back.
You hate that because you're in marketing and you do web development, and that would kill you.
It just drives me crazy. I'm not gonna sleep thinking about this website all night now.
But so this kit in particular, it was in pieces. There were some cracked pieces on the base underneath from the inside. It was kind of separated into like 4 sections. The roof was completely disassembled and off of it in a couple places. It had several different roofs on the top. And then, of course, it had a loading platform on the one side, as this big, long loading platform. And they must have stuck about 75 passengers on the loading platform in different places.
Uh-huh.
Which I'm sure looked amazing at some point, okay? They were fairly decent painted figures, okay? But of those 75, there's probably only about 40 that are left stuck to the top. The other 35 must have got broken off, and all that's left on there, because they were glued to the top, were their busted-ass feet. Okay, so it was just a bunch of feet or shoes. It looked like a bunch of shoes, and then some people scattered in amongst, and then had all kinds of, the plastic boxes and stuff for, I don't even know what they were for exactly. I guess advertising panels and things like that.
Yeah.
I removed all that stuff. Park benches. They had planters and little planter pots and things like that along there for decoration. They were removed. I removed all that, and the little feet, I scraped them off and then sanded them down. I scraped them with a straight razor, but it was all busted up. It looked like you let the grandkids play around with it or something. Kids bust off all the little people and left their feet. I guess they were playing with the people off the platform, except those people had no feet. And so that's what I had. And so I was actually able, by using a straight razor and sliding it under their feet, I salvaged those other 40 people. Okay, so I can reuse them because they're painted pretty decent.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sand it down and do that whole plot. But this is what I was dealing with. It was a wreck. Okay, but I knew by looking at it on the photos online that this thing was going to and once I saw it in person when I went to pick it up, I realized that this is completely salvageable with little effort. And I spent one morning just gluing the whole thing into one piece. So I could pick the whole thing up, 40 inches long, and it's so glued together, I can pick it all up. And I'm holding it right now in my hand, in one single hand. Nothing's falling off. I bought this thing for $20. And it's going to... And standing alone without repainting it, if I was just a regular modeler or model builder and just had a regular old train platform, nothing overly fancy, the color scheming on it is awesome.
Yeah.
It's really nice for plastic, but you can tell it's plastic.
Yeah.
So I am in the process now, but before I get into that, I want to let everybody know You can get good quality models out there. Some that are built, some that aren't even put together yet. But places like Facebook Marketplace, where people are just trying to get rid of stuff, and you have to watch. There's the people that know what the stuff's worth too, and they're trying to get top dollar for, a plastic building that they paid. Today you could buy on Amazon or eBay, unbuilt, brand new for like $15. They're selling it assembled with no paint, and there's people. The people are ridiculous, by the way. They look it up and go, "Oh, this model costs this much to buy this. If you bought it regular, it would cost you $45." So they build it and they charge $115 for this building that's not even painted. It's got glue marks all over it and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
But there, if you watch on there, there's people like this who were trying to get rid of something, and they wanted to see if it went to a good home. It was in their home.
If only they knew what it would look like when you're done.
There's bargains out there, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying if only those people knew what it looked like when you're... Do you ever think about this? You kind of sparked my thought with this when you told me the one night when you were at Community Aid, you bought some clothes. By the way, I love thrift store clothes. And you said, did you ever think about what you're wearing might be from, like, a dead guy? But not that. But think about, like, don't go that... I'm not going that dark on it. But think, like, if you bought one of these used kits that were already assembled, we've all done it. I've done it. You've done it. Did you ever think, not morbidly like that, but did you ever think, like, if the person who built this originally could see what I'm going to do to it, they would be, like, enthralled just to see, like, how awesome this is going to be.
Right. I think so.
It'd be cool to, I mean, you'll probably never meet this person, but it'd be cool to be like, look at this thing you gave me, or look at this thing I got from you, and look what I turned it into. Look at this. It's art now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. I don't know. It's just the universe is weird like that, where someone built something and they have no idea what you're going to do with it, and then you're going to turn it into something completely wild.
Well, I told the lady when I picked it up and checked it out, and I say, hey, this is what I'm going to do with it. Right?
Yeah.
This is what my son and I do with our podcast, and you can check us out here. And she was genuinely into it. And
that's
asking
awesome.
All kinds of questions. And I think that she was actually happy that it was going to go to do something.
Well, and it gets a new life.
So, like I said, hopefully I can make her proud, but make it.
Made me so proud.
Well, not proud. But,
no, I know you mean. I know you mean. Yeah.
Just.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so anyways, that's where I'm at.
Good.
So now I am masking all of the windows.
Okay.
There's a bazillion windows on this thing. Okay, it's huge. It's going to take a lot of real estate on our layout. Okay, but it's going to be elevated. There's going to be an elevated rail, because end to end on our long section of our layout.
I was thinking about this.
It's going to be What's that?
I've been thinking about this.
Okay.
Well, let's finish your thing, and then we'll talk about that.
And then this is going to be on the upper part of the city, facing the elevated rail in the middle, so that the train can make a stop there briefly, and then continue on, and come back, and then back and forth.
Yeah.
But what's your idea?
So for this elevated section, I think what we need to do is cut the foam off the back.
Okay.
And build it up with the 2x4 scraps I have.
Yeah.
Instead of stacking
foam. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate stack foam.
Get another sheet of plywood. Yeah. And actually build a real platform for it. Because I was just thinking, we're going to put that foam down, and it's going to be a nightmare in a couple years, because it's all foam. There's no access to it. So, and there's track going underneath it. So I think we just cut the foam away and put actual lumber underneath and build it back up. Put another foam base down on top of that lumber.
So, yeah, that's fine. But this is the idea I have.
Yeah.
with this. So it's going to serve as a central station for our large city. Okay, and it's a big piece. Okay, um, so I'm masking all the windows, which is a nightmare.
Well, there's
Because
only
I'm going
about
to
500 of them.
no, I'm going to airbrush this entire building. Okay, with a primer. Okay, and then I'm going to hand paint every detail.
You're also
Well, not. I'm also. I am going to do some airbrushing on some of the parts, but a lot of there's a lot of sections I'm going to have to actually hand paint.
Well, and you're also
So-
de-Europeanizing it, if that's a word.
Kind of. I mean, it's
Well,
going to be hard to do that.
No,
because
but you
it's
took
just-
all the German signs off of it and things like that.
Yeah, that's going. That's going. All the advertising is in German, and the sign to the station is in German. I took off. Yeah, absolutely. The architecture doesn't look too far off of what you would find in an American city.
Well, especially like
for
a
a
northeastern,
month.
especially like a northeastern area. There's some European influence in a lot of our architecture.
Absolutely. You know, even for example, Harrisburg train station has that same kind of big look. They're huge. These are big cities.
Yeah.
So, a huge city, but it's a state capital. So you run into that, and it'll fit. It'll. Like I said, I want to keep the color scheme because the yellowish style brick. It's more like I guess it's more of a buff color or a brighter yellow buff.
Yeah, it's like a ochre color.
That. It's a very eye popping. It's something that would be seen on a lot of train stations up in all over the country, for that matter, using that color scheme. So I like the color scheme, and I just want it to be not looking like a plastic model. So I'm going to go with that and airbrush it and as much as I can, and then hand paint a lot of the rest of the trim and such. But I'm looking forward to doing it, and it's just going to be a lot of work. And this is be my winter project. So I don't know if once I get the windows messed up, I really don't think it's going to take as long as I think.
No.
But it's just that part's going to take a while, and then of course the trim. But what fun is it if you could do it all in a week?
Right.
So it's that's what's going on right now. So, I had a thought on our layout.
Yeah.
And we had not been able to do this before, and I think it's a good thing that we could on the very back wall, on the back side of the big city.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna put some big buildings up there in the center part of it. Okay, but on the very back wall, since now we finally do have a back wall. Okay, I'm saying we do some big, tall flats.
Yeah. Background kits.
Background flats, yeah, the background flats along the back of large buildings in the back. Okay, and we can make some of them even out of like the board, the art board and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that, and then we'll start pressing. I have that Victoria Falls Hotel that I haven't assembled yet from Magnuson. And we can make some copies of that back wall. We'll pour some resin or pour some plaster or whatever, and make flats out of that, and stack them and make a nice giant sized wall stuff in the background of our city. I think that'll help enhance it a little bit, but it'll really give a nice backdrop to it without us having to make a giant backdrop. And it'll make our city look tall and big in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about that, but
I'm fine with that. I like that.
yeah. Okay. And we have not been able to do that because before our layout was 360, and now we have the option to make it look even taller or bigger and more eye appealing by doing that. So. Okay, just a thought. I don't think everybody else had to hear what we have planned there, but that's
That's fine.
This is how we do things.
Yeah.
This is how we do things, right?
Yeah, well, I do anticipate much less ripping out again and again and again of things.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that will not be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So,
Anyways,
I've got that going on. And I got my. I'm painting figures for the World War II diorama. I'm still doing that, and I plan to start. And I'll let you talk about your stuff. I do plan to start a Japanese Zero fighter.
yes.
Zeke. I'm going to start doing that on an airplane model for my first time, and that's going to be coming up in the next week or two.
Nice.
I'm going to kick it into different projects because these big giant monster buildings and stuff. I mean, they're going to take time. There's going to take time to dry.
Right. You need some in-between work, some filler work.
I don't blow my mind working on one big giant building, right?
I get it.
Yeah. So, but
yeah. Well, I'm working on Merchants Row 2, as we talked about. I also got a lot done with the marina water area.
It's looking nice.
Yeah, I do need to put some waves and like the top layer of water down, but I'm waiting until we put our buildings down before we do that because that's going to cement those pilings in for those waterfront buildings.
I'm going to go down on that yourself.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to
arrange that the way you.
I think I'm just going to do that and repair those pilings as I'm starting to work on that because that's the easiest way to do it.
Some of it size and everything.
And I have
else,
a vision.
So, yeah.
I have a vision for it, so I'm just going to work on it that way. It's not going to be anything bad that we haven't already pre-planned. It's just I'm going to just do that on my time here. But
right.
I did put a bunch of rocks down for the waterfront. I took James Powell's advice and I made the rocks extend out a little more, made some more depth. Because the seawall kind of just dropped straight down, and some sections it looked too sharp. So I did extend them out in certain areas and made them look a little deeper, or like the rocks spilled out a little bit more. And that was a good tip. So thanks, James, because that was it did change the look quite a bit. And then I also I put like a tide line on the rocks. Yeah. So the thing was I think the last pictures I posted of it, I hadn't done that yet. But when you look at any kind of seawall, if you Google pictures of it or you see them in person, the rocks have a different color where the water rises and goes out, where the tide changes. They're usually a little darker, a little scummier, because the seawater is constantly rising, or the bay water is constantly rising and falling on those rocks. So it gets some growth on it. It gets some scuzz, some black grime. So I did do that, and then the next step on there is going to be to put some green grime on a couple as well. So like some algae got left on the rocks as the tide comes in and out. I'm not going to do a lot of green because that would look ridiculous, but I will be doing some washes with some green algae looking grime. And I have the AK grime, and I have some other effects that I'm going to try for the green grime in some spots. I also put a drain pipe. I don't know if you caught that or not. I put a drain pipe in the rocks.
I did.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I figured like there's all these buildings above it and there's roads above that. So this isn't the era where the EPA would be super concerned about what's being dumped into the water. So I put some drain pipes that come out into the wharf, where above that would be some of your industry buildings. Obviously, not.
I think today there's areas where they don't think much about what's being dumped into the water.
Probably. But either way, I was like, well, there's a lot of there's a lot of city above this water, and if it rains or whatever, you're going to need runoff on the roads and parking areas, whatever, stormwater runoff. So I did put some pipes that stick out into the water for some stormwater runoff. And to be honest, I made those with a bendy straw. I grabbed a couple bendy straws upstairs, and we've talked about that before. You just take some bendy straws or whatever disposable straws you have upstairs, and I just shot them with some black spray paint and stuck them in the foam before I built the rocks up around it. And then I'll rust the pipe up a little bit because you can't have an iron pipe sticking out along the seawater and not have some rust on it.
Well, you're right. You're right.
So,
That'll look good.
yeah. I mean, it's
already
just.
looks good without.
I also went through and put some foliage on. I did use some of my Temu grass tufts, which looked awesome. And then I used some of the Martin. What's that? Martin. Well, who was that guy that made those grass clumps? Wellberg?
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
In fact, well, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, keep it. But keep it yourself. Anyways, I put some of the scenery from Martin Wellberg on there too. So I have some grass from him. I got some Temu stuff. I have some. What's this stuff here? I have it right here. It's from Michaels. It's my favorite shit to use for like bushes and stuff. It is the Moss collection.
Oh yeah. You know what? You go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and into their floral section, you can find all kinds of cool.
Well, this
shit
is
in there.
this is moss, and it smells kind of good. But anyways, it's why am I, everything I smell everything. Like I smelled the brush cleaner puck, too. But it does have a good scent. I think it's because half the stuff we use in modeling smells absolutely like death.
You know what the best smelling thing that I found is?
What?
It'll be real quick.
Don't tell me it's the same thing. I'm gonna tell you. Can I guess?
Yep.
Is it the Instaset glue stuff?
Well, that smells good too. Weird that is. I wasn't even thinking
Do you
that.
think that
You're
has?
absolutely right. It has a weird, goofy smell that
it's
I
got-
kind of like. It's like when you fill gas and when you're pumping gas into your car, and that other idiot that was right before you took it out and he sprayed gas all over the freaking concrete.
Yeah.
And you smell that. Sometimes I smell gas.
You take a double
in certain
sniff. You're like,
doses.
oh
Smells
yeah.
pretty good.
But
Right?
but the Instaset, it has a sweet smell to it. It's probably awful for my lungs. And I'm not like sitting. Listen, guys,
Don't
I'm not here like sniffing it, like huffing the Instaset. But when you're using it, you do get a little bit of a.
You're huffing our hobby products, right?
No, but when you're using it in close proximity, whether you're trying to or not, you do end up getting a little sniff of it. And it does have a unique smell. But anyways, before you change subjects and talk about your smelly thing you like, I do like the moss that you can get from Michaels, because when you tear it apart, first of all, I think it's natural. So when you tear it apart, though, it's got all sorts of different colors. There's dark spots, light spots. There's different textures in it. So some of it's textured a little thicker, so it looks like sticks, like a bush that doesn't have a lot of foliage on it. But then like the tops of it have some real fine foliage. So if you tear it apart and you stick it down in your glue when you're setting it all, you can really create some neat looking bushes with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's some wonderful products out there. That and the neat thing about those, I mean, at the floral shops in the craft stores.
Yeah. They're not that expensive.
A lot of that stuff is already, well, a lot of it's already treated. So it's not going to, you're going to put it on there and it's not going to, it's not going to like fall apart or change in color or deteriorate right away.
The other thing that's nice about it is usually you got to buy for what we need, a pretty large size bag. Like you usually got to get a pretty good sized bag. So like this bag of moss is going to last me for most of the layout. And it probably only cost me $6 or $7. I'm going to have bushes and shrubs to make out of this stuff for endless different scenes. And it only cost me $6 or $7. And for the scale that we're using it, a bag like that will last you a long time for what it costs.
You know that on the waterfall scene I have on the on the layout?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Well, at the top of that giant hill, at the top of those cliffs, you'll see some greenery that hangs down over the edges.
Yeah.
That is made out of the pillow batting that you get at like any craft store.
Yeah.
Okay, for making or like a
stuffed animals,
Julian Fabrics or whatever. Animals. That's all it is, and that stuff's cheap as hell. And you pull it out, and a bag of that shit would last the entire huge layout. Okay.
Right.
You pull it out and
paint it.
That was all that was is black spray paint Okay, and then I hit it. I didn't even use green on it. It was just I painted it black, and then I just put some. Now I did have to buy some foliage from the leaf foliage.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the fine
Like
the fine green
the woodland scenic
green stuff
the
from
stuff.
Woodland Scenic.
Yeah, the stuff
The
that
plastic canisters.
yeah, it comes
It's
with
like $10.
yeah, the
For
stuff.
a big tall one, it's like $10. I got like 2 different kinds, and then you know how much that would cost you to do something like that by buying the commercial stuff for modeling.
A fortune.
A lot,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so let's say I spent $20 on the foliage. Okay, foliage, and then I spent I don't know, $3.99 on that big thing of the batten that goes in the pillows.
Yeah.
Okay, the polyester. Okay, and then a $6, $7 spray can of black spray paint. Okay, and that's all it was. And I spray painted it, and I let it dry after I spray painted it. Then hairspray. The cheapest damn hairspray at the dollar store, at the $1.50 store now. So you go to the $1.50 store, the below $5 store, whatever the hell it's up to now, and you go and you buy the cheapest bottle of hairspray, and
Right.
1 or 2 cans is enough, okay? And you spray it on there, usually Aquanet or some garbage shit like that. No right woman would put it in her head, okay? But you spray it on your on it, and then you just sprinkle that shit all over it and in a box, and then eventually that stuff starts laying, the loose stuff lays in the bottom, and I just roll it around in there until it gets covered.
Yeah.
It's looking all green and all, and it's got the black in behind hides it.
And then
I can do the whole layout with that stuff.
Yeah.
And it drapes on. You just put some spray glue down, drape it on, and let it dry. It was the easiest stuff ever. It looked awesome too.
Yeah, it does.
So, and it's cheap. There's cheap ways to do great looking stuff you can get at the craft store.
Yep.
And do it yourself. You know? So yeah. Now, real quick on the best smelling thing for me.
Oh yeah.
If you go to any art supply place at the craft stores again, okay, you will find Speedball pink soap for cleaning your brushes. Okay, it's a brush cleaner.
Yep.
It's called. You've seen it on
Yep.
the shelf. It's in a plastic bottle, and it's got you push a button and the lid pops up and you pour it out. And I use this stuff all the time. It's the best brush cleaner ever right now. And I put it in a little tiny plastic cup, one of the disposable cups that I have that I bought at the restaurant supply place. And I put it in a little tiny cup and just a little bit at the bottom. And then I put no water or anything else. I just put my brush in there and run it around in there. Then I rinse it out in my water container and let it, shape it, and then let it dry. It eats the paint right out of it. It's great. You initially wash it in water before you do it.
Yeah.
Okay. But awesome stuff, right? And it's like $6.99 or $7 a bottle, whatever it is. But it smells like cherries. I'm not kidding you. At Christmas time is the perfect time. At the Christmas time, you get them chocolate covered cherries. The cheap
Yes.
ones they sell they taste amazing. You sit down, you can like pop like 20 in your mouth while you're watching a movie, okay? And you bought them in a box of 20 for like $2.99, and they're like $1 a box by January the 3rd.
Yep.
So it smells. Doesn't that cherry and those chocolate covered cherries smell amazing?
It does.
This smells exactly like that. It's by far the best smelling thing on my workbench.
And you have the cleanest brushes now because you just like how it smells, so you just find an excuse to clean your brushes.
Oh, it's great stuff. I mean, it really is.
You know what else is a really good smell?
Better than that little puck thing.
You know what else
What?
is a really good smell? It has nothing to do with modeling, but when you get a brand new hockey puck, a ice hockey puck,
Oh yeah, they smell great.
When you get a brand,
vulcanized rubber.
oh my God, when you get a brand new ice hockey puck, I can't stop smelling it. And I haven't had that. I haven't experienced that in a long time because I haven't played hockey in a long time. But man, a brand new ice hockey puck.
Got that odor to them, man.
Or when you did, I don't know if you did that too, but like when you put your tape on your stick and you're using the puck and you put the black marks on your tape.
Yep.
To kind of you put the black marks on your tape to make your white tape look not brand new, but B, it does keep the tape stuck.
Out the tape a little.
It keeps it stuck on the blade a little better.
Right.
But when you do that smell too is like, oh, it's heaven. It's heaven.
Yeah.
Or when this is weird too, but when you're putting, you don't do this anymore, I don't think, but when you're the old 2-piece composite sticks, when you heat up that glue to put the blade in the graphite stick shaft, that gave off a stink too. What are we about smells tonight? We got, you know what we did? We did the reenacting podcast. We need to do one where we just talk about hockey stories.
We should do that. I can tell you some stories. I managed a hockey rink for a long time. Okay, for many years. Okay, 15 years or whatever. Okay, and then I worked at a hockey rink in the evenings, refereeing and playing and coaching at the rink to help them out for another 5 years.
And I spent 20 some years playing hockey.
You're a rink rat. So for us, I could tell you, I could write a book of stories.
Oh my
God. Funny hockey stories. We will definitely do that on the show.
The best.
And by the way, the month of January, I'll let everybody know right now. The month of January, be prepared. We got pretty much a full lineup during the month of guests that are going to be on.
Some great guests.
I've been trying to do it here in December. It's been tough. Everybody has holiday stuff with families.
No one's got time for that right now.
Right, exactly.
But we will have we got a great lineup of guests coming in January. So that'll be fun. I do have one hockey story we'll tell to wrap this up. Remember when you had to take this is early hockey. Not early hockey. This is early Red Bull. But remember when Red Bull, before they were like a big brand, they would come into the rink because you had a sports facility there, and they would, they'd get attractive looking, younger, college age people to come in.
The marketing, I had these guys to do the marketing for Red Bull because they sponsored our one semi-pro team that I was coaching.
Right, but they would get not just women, they would get just 20 to 24-year-old good-looking young people to come in and hand out free Red Bulls because, who doesn't want to take a Red Bull from a attractive woman with a fanny pack full of Red Bulls? Anyways, before you realized what was happening, people were just slamming a bunch of Red Bulls before the games, and you were like, why are you guys playing so crazy and aggressive, out of your minds? And then you realize it's all this Red Bull that all these guys are drinking, tons of Red Bull.
These are golf players too.
Yeah, and then you had to make a rule where you're like, all right, no Red Bull before games for you guys, none.
Well, they filled the Red Bull in the coolers and took them in the locker room. This is a semi-pro team that we coach. We won't get into details of who or what. And we sold tickets for the game, right? And so we get like 300-400 people in there or whatever, and to watch the game. But so selling tickets, these guys, they didn't make squat. I mean, it was glorified men's league, basically, is what it was. They played all over the country. We're like 50 teams across the country.
It was a glorified men's travel hockey.
That's basically what it was. I mean, these guys are awesome. They came from every walk of life. Some of them did play minor league hockey and
college hockey. Yeah.
Sure. I coached this team for 10 years. And but
All of a sudden, they're playing like...
Yeah, I'm sitting there on the bench because they loaded we loaded the coolers up with ice, and I was just as guilty. I had all this free Red Bull, and I was by the cases, and I'm shoving it before the games. I'm putting it in these coolers with ice, and we roll down there, sit them in the locker rooms for our team. We even provided one for the other team. Okay, just so they had some drinks when they came to visit because they came from South Carolina and Georgia and Boston and
all over East Coast.
So, we treated them that, and then pizza after the game and that kind of thing, and then we'd have it delivered, and they'd come in after the game, and it's just our being a nice guy. Well, I don't think we gave them Red Bulls, so anyhow, but we gave them like Gatorade, shit like that. So while they're playing, I noticed that a couple of the guys that normally don't take penalties, rough penalties or stupid rough penalties or lose their cool.
Aggression stuff.
They're freaking slamming people into the dasher boards. It's really, really rough and physical, which is a rough game anyways. And, and we played it rough, it's just the way it is. But some of these same guys would like getting mad and dropping the gloves and popping people.
And they normally, it was very out of character.
And they're coming back to the bench, and they're all pumped up. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these guys? And the one guy, he never got into these things. He's all jacked up on this. And I'm like, he's in the penalty box. He's slamming his stick on the glass in the penalty box, yelling at the other team and yelling at the officials. I'm like, what? This is so out. This is a quiet guy. It's so out of nature for him. There's other guys on the team that would do that without the Red Bull. Okay. So we got in the locker room, and we're losing, right? We're losing this game because we're taking stupid penalties. Mm-hmm. So I get in the locker room at the end of the period, and we go in there for our break, and everybody's real quiet, and I'm like, I blew up. I said, how many of you guys had Red Bull tonight? And they're like, a whole mess of hands go up, and I had some, that kind of stuff, right? And I said, do you drink the full can? How many cans do you have? One guy's like, I had 4 cans. I said, 4 cans? You had 4 cans of Red Bull? Yes, I got here. He would arrive at the locker like a couple hours before the game, just sitting there and get his mind into it and everything. A couple nut jobs like that, and I knew those guys would sit. They'd go up there and they shoot the shit for a while until it's time to go out and do their thing. Well, I was like, how you had 4 Red Bulls in the span of how long? Oh, 2 hours. Really? So I rolled that thing out of there. I got mad. I made our one kid. It was, I don't know if it was you. It was my stick boy.
I was a stick boy at the time.
And I said, get that shit out of here. I don't want this in here anymore. Get it out of our lockers. Nobody's drinking Red Bull anymore. There won't be any more Red Bull in here before a game or during a game. So we nixed that. And because it was great. So then after that, no, the rest of that game was a disaster. Okay. They didn't come down off of that right away, right? So the next game, never had that problem again because I forbid it. I even told them, I said, don't bring it. Don't even drink it before at your home or in the car. Don't get the Monster Energy. No energy drinks outside of.
Well, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's like anything in moderation, right? Yeah. But the fact was they were all drinking a couple of them before the game and then losing their minds because they're all hyped up.
All hyped up on the bench, they're all bouncy and stuff. And I'm like, God dang, something's not right. And I think that's before, it was in the dawn of Red Bull.
Not just that, it was just the dawn of energy drinks.
Right, exactly. And so none of us had. And then we were selling it in our snack bar, okay? Yeah, we had it available in a machine out front.
Yep.
Okay, in the lobby, in a vending machine, and I also coached youth hockey. Okay, and I managed the rink, so I'm in charge of all these kids, and sure enough, I see this kid. He's like, eat, and he's stuffing $2 into the Red Bull machine. And I'm like, I said, what are you doing, son? He goes, oh, I said, don't drink. I don't want you drinking that, you know? I said, it's not good for little kids' hearts to race like that, you know? I said, where? He said, my parents gave me money for energy drink. I said, they don't. I had to have a team meeting with a youth. I had all the youth parents there one weekend, and in between each game, I had to go up and make a speech to all the parents from all the different teams in between each game, while they're sitting in the bleacher and waiting for their kids to come out to play their game. I'd have to talk to all the parents as a group over and over that whole weekend, saying,
No
"Okay,
kids.
look, Red Bull is racing your kids' hearts. Okay, you think you're giving them something that's going to be electrolytes, and it's not." I said, we have a Powerade machine. We got a Gatorade machine. Give them that. You're better off getting them a freaking Coke. Okay, but don't give them that stuff, man. And I told them the story of what happened with my team, my adult team I was coaching. And they all came to the games with their kids to watch those games. And I said, this is what happens. I said, remember that game back then when everything was out of whack? You know, you guys got to see all kinds of roughing and fighting and everything else. Well, that's what happens. I said, that's what you don't want for your kids. And so what I did then afterwards, I called at the time, I called the Red Bull guy. I said, look, I can't have this machine in our lobby because there's no control over the kids that are coming up with stuff and money.
Right.
I said, so you need to remove that. Can you get me a reach-in cooler that we can sit on the counter in the snack bar, and then we can, you know, if they're over the age of, what I made it, 18?
Yeah, I think so.
They can come up and they can buy it that way if they're over age 18. Or if a parent comes up and buys it and they want to buy it for their kid, well, that's up to the parent.
Right.
But
you had to put a throttle on it.
Right. So we did that. But yeah,
that wasn't one of the
hockey stories too. Outside of Red Bull, I got some hockey stories that'll blow your mind.
I just always thought that was a funny one. But
yeah, it was good.
Alrighty. Well, hey, we got a lot coming up in January. So, like my dad said, we got a long lineup of guests coming in January. Good ones, good guests. Yep. So we're looking forward to having them on the show. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about tonight?
Good, man. I wish everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever the hell you celebrate. If you, I don't know.
Merry Festivus.
Have a good time.
Merry Festivus.
And don't take offense if somebody wishes you that. Take it as a compliment. That they were trying to be nice, and don't be a jackass about it. Say, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I think that's few and far between. Most people know what the deal is.
Yeah, be happy about it, man.
Anyways, alrighty.
Good cheer.
Hey, have Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy everything else, Happy Holidays, Happy whatever. If you're just sitting there picking your nose on...
I just got ridiculed for saying that, and now you're doing it.
Happy whatever you do. So, all right, guys, enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your families, enjoy the holiday. We'll see you guys. We might do one before the New Year's over. Or before the New Year.
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a New Year's episode, too. So,
maybe we'll drink for that.
Maybe. Who knows? All right.
All right, peace out.
All right, later, guys.